Imagine a move so massive it could reshape an entire market. A move so calculated that the world of finance barely notices until it's too late. Forbes has just confirmed something that very few people were prepared for. Ripple is quietly orchestrating a $180 billion reinvention. Could this mean XRP soaring towards $10 or even higher? Hi, welcome to the Crypto Republic. Before we dive in, if you're serious about staying ahead in this once-in-a-lifetime financial shift, make sure you like this video, drop a comment, subscribe to the Crypto Republic. Imagine a move so massive it could reshape an entire market. A move so calculated that the world of finance barely notices until it's too late. Today, Forbes has just confirmed something that very few people were prepared for. Ripple, the company behind the XRP Ledger, is quietly orchestrating a $180 billion reinvention. And the question on everyone's mind, could this mean XRP soaring towards $10 or even higher? In today's episode, we'll explore Ripple's acquisitions, ETFs, Wall Street's interest, and a developing story in Europe. The Central Bank of France is now eyeing the XRP Ledger as a potential technology layer for the digital euro. We'll also examine how the European Governing Council is accelerating the rollout of this digital currency, signaling a historic shift in the global financial system. By the end of this video, you'll understand the strategy, foresight, and global implications that make Ripple's latest moves nothing short of revolutionary. Ripple's legacy in Forbes reappraisal. Let's rewind just 12 months. Forbes was running its blockchain ratings, and at the top sat the XRP Ledger, closely followed by Cardano. For early crypto investors, this was the euphoric period of late 2024. XRP and Cardano surged 300 to 400% in November alone, turning months of speculation into tangible gains. But Forbes wasn't always bullish. Back in March 2024, they published a list highlighting zombie blockchain projects with high market caps but minimal real-world usage. Ripple topped that list. At the time, the XRP Ledger had a market cap of $36 billion, but collected only $538,000 in annual fees. In Forbes' views, value was tied strictly to fee generation. Ethereum, slow and expensive, looked better on paper. Because it was centralized, consensus bodies were raking in billions in fees. Fast forward to today, Forbes has reversed course. The article paints Ripple as a completely transformed entity, a company whose strategy is reshaping the ledger ecosystem itself, the $180 billion reinvention. So what exactly is Ripple doing with this $180 billion move? It's not just a capital injection. It's a systematic reinvention. The company's private shares now trade between $135 and $170, roughly 2 to 3 times higher than they did at the start of the year. For content, Circle's market cap is about $30 billion, up 352% since June. Ripple, XRP is up 366% year over year, now sitting at $150 billion market cap. And here's the kicker. Forbes notes that the majority of demand for XRP has yet to enter the market. Multiple firms are preparing treasury strategies for XRP, with Evernorth planning a $1 billion acquisition on NASDAQ. Ripple's moves from acquisitions to treasury management suggest a carefully orchestrated plan to drive real-world adoption. Ripple's recent acquisitions, G Treasury, Hidden Road, Rail, Mideco for $250 million in standard custody are integrating real-world financial products into the XRP Ledger. Each acquisition strengthens infrastructure, increases credibility, and positions XRP as more than a token, as a functional, scalable financial network. ETFs and Wall Street's attentions. The first ever XRP ETF is scheduled to go live November 13th, with Canary Capital leading the charge. Institutional money has historically been cautious, waiting for a way to participate safely. Now ETFs provide the bridge. Grayscale, Franklin Templeton, Bitwise, and nearly a dozen others are preparing their XRP funds. When Wall Street invests in ETFs, they create a demand shock. XRP tokens are purchased off exchanges, reducing circulating supply. And when supply tightens while demand rises, prices don't just move, they accelerate. Ripple has positioned itself at the center of this storm. And the XRP Ledger is emerging as the conduit for institutional adoption, legal battles, and strategic foresight. Ripple's journey hasn't been without challenges. The SEC lawsuit from 2020 forced Ripple to pay $125 million in fines and navigate years of regulatory uncertainty. Yet during this time, Ripple laid the foundation for expansion, acquisition, and treasury management. Brad Garlinghouse, CEO of Ripple, has consistently emphasized that everything the company does is centered on XRP. This strategic foresight is crucial. Unlike competitors, Ripple prepared for the ledger to support institutional scale adoption once regulatory clarity arrived. So if we look at supply and demand dynamics with ETFs, acquisitions, and treasury purchases, the inflow of demand is projected to be enormous. Canary Capital alone plans $3 to $5 billion in XRP allocations. Multiply that across multiple ETFs, and the supply shock becomes tangible. Analysts are debating price targets: $4, $5, $10. While predictions vary, the mechanism is clear. Real-world demand drives token value, and Ripple's strategy is creating a perfect storm. Historically, when companies create utility for their assets through integration, acquisition, or innovation, value often flows. Ripple is doing this with the XRP Ledger, creating a backbone for global finance. The digital euro and XRP Ledger integration, Europe is now watching closely. The European Central Bank and the Central Bank of France are actively exploring how distributed ledger technology can underpin the digital euro. According to recent reports, the European Governing Council has decided to accelerate the launch process, moving the project into its final preparatory phase. This is a major development. Europe intends to pilot the digital euro as early as 2027. The pilot will leverage XRPL-based technology for secure, audible settlement of transactions. In other words, Ripple's ledger is being considered as a core infrastructure layer for Europe's new digital currency. The Governing Council has explicitly requested faster implementation, signaling a strong commitment to integrating blockchain efficiency with central bank oversight. XRP's ledger, speed, security, get a natural candidate for such a system, bridging traditional finance with blockchain innovation. Historical analogies and lessons. To grasp Ripple's significance, consider this. IBM in the 90s reinvented itself from a hardware to enterprise services. Amazon in the early 2000s expanded to cloud computing long before the market realized its potential. Gold standard shifts in the 20th century show how monetary systems can be completely redefined when trust, infrastructure, and utility align. Ripple is executing a similar strategy. Through strategic acquisitions, ETFs, readiness, treasury management, and now European digital currency integration, the XRP Ledger is positioned as the foundation for a next-generation financial ecosystem. So what does this mean for investors and the public, you might ask? XRP is entering mass adoption. It's no longer just a speculative token. Institutional interest is real. ETFs and treasury purchases are creating a wave of demand. Ripple's foresight pays off. Legal clarity allowed the company to prepare for infrastructure for global adoption. Global integration is underway. XRP Ledger could support the European digital euro, making a historic milestone for blockchain-based central bank digital currency. We are witnessing the early stages of a generational shift. Early adoptions about understanding infrastructure, strategy, and the forces shaping finance today. The $180 billion Ripple move isn't just a headline. It's a story of foresight, reinvention, and the convergence of technology and finance. From NASDAQ ETFs to the European digital euro pilot, from Wall Street inflows to Ripple's acquisitions, the XRP Ledger is becoming more than a ledger. It's the backbone of a new financial ecosystem. Forbes saw it, Cullen. Wall Street is stepping in. The Central Bank of France and the European Council are integrating XRPL-based technologies for the digital euro. XRP is no longer just a token. It's a ledger with real-world utility, momentum, and a growing role in shaping the future of global finance. If you found this insight valuable, hit that like button, subscribe, and leave your predictions in the comments. Where do you think XRP goes from here? $5, $10, or beyond? If this opened your eyes, smash that like button, ring the bell, leave a comment with your thoughts. Turn on notifications, and most importantly, subscribe to the Crypto Republic, bringing you the truth about XRP, global banking moves, and the wealth transfer already unfolding. Don't just watch history happen. Stay informed, stay ahead, stay in the Republic.